All right, folks, welcome back. Steve Malzberg with you, and joining us now is Matt K. Lewis, writer for the Daily Caller. Hello, Matt.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Happy to do it.
I guess let's start, since we've been the theme has been Obamacare, based on what Bill Clinton said today, that even if they have to change the law, they should Obama should keep his promise to those who have lost or losing their insurance. You wrote a great piece about at theweek.com about how it's the young that are getting soaked, as you put it, by the Affordable Care Act, and how the youth are picking up the tab for the baby boomers. And by the way, I don't know if they're going to actually opt to do that, and the whole thing may fall apart because of that. But talk about how that's set up.
Yeah, actually, this was, by design. It wasn't, Obamacare was sold as a win-win. But there's a little-known provision in the law called the Adjusted Community Rating that essentially guaranteed that the young people, say over the age of 26, I'll still count them as young, will essentially transfer their wealth to older people, and I would say they're under the age of 64, because if they're 65 at that point, they can get other assistance. So basically, what the Adjusted Community Rating says is that a young person can pay no more than a 3-to-1 ratio less than an older person. So maybe it used to be that an older person would have to pay $800 a month, and his neighbor would pay just $100.
But now, but now the ratio has to be 3-to-1. That was almost 8-to-1. So the senior's premium comes down, but the young person's premium goes up.
Exactly, and I know it's in the weeds, and it's hard to get this across on the radio. But the bottom line is, this law was designed specifically to soak the young, the very people who elected Barack Obama, ironically.
Yeah, no, well, you explain it very good in your article, and I want to give people out there, say it used to be a 64-year-old man, 27-year-old neighbor. Okay, together they used to pay $800, like you said, for the older man and $100 for the younger man. So that's $900 total. Now, if the insurance company still wants to collect the $900 total from them, and they can't charge such a differential, it has to be lower, 3-to-1, like you said. So it would go up for the youngster, for the 27-year-old, from $100 a month to $225 a month.
Right, and that's by law. Here we have a new law which mandates this.
But Obama keeps telling us, especially for, and he's addressing youngsters when he says this, that you could get Obamacare for, or a policy for less than your cell phone bill. So how is that possible?
Right. Well, it's really not. I do have to say, there are exceptions. Some young people may qualify for subsidies, but most won't. And for example, if you're a family of 4 making around $80,000,
you're not eligible. No,
you're not eligible.
Right.
That's not a lot of money for a young family of 4.
Nope.
So I do have to put that caveat in there. But essentially, this is really bad for young people who are trying to start out in the world and maybe save a little bit, pay for college, whatever. It's even tougher, and we already know how bad the job market is and how bad the economy is. This is one more stumbling block for young people trying to start a life.
Right, and Mark, they're not gonna sign up, and if they get sick, God forbid, since there's no pre-existing conditions allowed, they could sign up once they get sick, pay the minuscule fine, and live that way. And another thing is deductibles. Now you're talking about premiums, and even those people who get subsidies, and I've been harping on this a lot, and I think I'm right. Everybody has told me I'm right. That the subsidies that anybody would get don't apply to deductibles. So you may get the policy half paid for, 3/4 paid for, or 100% paid for, but then get a load of your deductibles, which is thousands of dollars, and you're scared to death to go to the doctor because you got to pay.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting. And I tell you, right now it's a mess, of course, with the website glitches. But imagine what could happen. Right now, people are upset because they can't sign up on the exchanges, and I'm sure that's frustrating. But I tell you where it could be much worse is on the back end. If people start showing up at the doctor a few months from now, and their doctor doesn't have any record of them having insurance, which is entirely plausible based on the way things are going, then you will have a real crisis on your hands, and I don't even know what would happen.
Yeah.
People people aren't that connected to their insurance company, but they're very connected to their doctor. And if you tell them, we don't have you registered or you can't see this doctor, it could be very bad news.
Absolutely. All right, I got one more for you here. We're talking to Mark Lewis, writer for the Daily Caller here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Chris Christie, you wrote a great piece, which is so right. Watch out, Chris Christie. It's a trap. And, the media that loves him today, I watch these women, like I said before, to Rick Santorum on CNN, and they're praising him. Oh, and Chris Christie, and oh, he's so wonderful, ignoring the fact that he's pro-life and anti-gay marriage. And, of course, if he becomes the nominee, they will destroy him the best they can.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen people turn on Republicans before. I mean, John McCain was once the darling of the media. He called them his base, and, of course, they turned on him once he became a viable threat to win the presidency and to defeat a Democrat. And I think the same is true of Chris Christie. In fact, today we're seeing polling out of NBC, which shows that I think he would win like a very small percent of the women vote against Hillary Clinton. But even worse than that, I think they would certainly attempt to use this war on women meme. This has become their go-to move. They use it against Mitt Romney very effectively. They used it against Ken Cuccinelli in Virginia. Even though
the guy's got 5 daughters. Cuccinelli's got 5 daughters, and they said he hates women.
Yeah, exactly. It works. And, Chris Christie managed to avoid that fate in New Jersey, but he shouldn't assume he can avoid it again. If he's running for president, they will use it on him. And I tell you what, if he starts yelling at some teacher in Davenport,
that's also what you wrote about in your piece. I was going to say his brash style, which they all love right now. They play the sound bites, but they're gonna clobber him.
Absolutely, it'll go from being charming and refreshing to being bullying and scary.
Yeah.
And do we want a president like this with his finger on the button who yells at women and teachers? There will be a lot of hand-wringing. And so Christie needs to be very careful. He should not assume that what has worked thus far will continue to work.
Matt, thank you. We'll have you back, sir. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Take care. My pleasure. All right, when we come back, folks, Mark Halpern will join us, senior political analyst for Time Magazine and co-author, along with John Heilman, of The Game Change, or just Game Change, I should say. New York Times bestseller, of course, and it's all about an insider's guide to 2012. We'll talk about what Clinton had to say and more. Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.